I'm Lisa Federico, and this is Inside Northwest Columbus. After spending decades in corporate marketing, I traded boardrooms for backyards because the best stories are happening right here at home. Every week, you'll meet entrepreneurs, creatives, and everyday neighbors doing extraordinary things across Worthington and Northwest Columbus. So let's jump into this week's conversation. Welcome to this week's edition of Inside Northwest Columbus. We are starting our March episodes in our brand new studio, so welcome. And in the studio today, I have Mike Chekanoff from the Exterior Living Company. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Your business has taken off this year. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and some of the work that you do is just beautiful. If you haven't checked out our February or our March issue, you will see the Exterior Living Company featured. But Mike, you've got a lot of roots in Worthington. Talk a little bit about that and your background, because it is interesting.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Been in Worthington or around Worthington for 40 years. My wife and I came down from Akron to go to Ohio State. Ended up our first home in Worthington and Linworth area, and have lived in this surrounding area ever since. And a lot of work in this area and northwest Columbus. So yeah,
and your kids are from Worthington as well.
Yep.
And I know you've got lots of local roots here, and it's just so wonderful to have seen you start your business a few years ago and to watch it take off.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
One of the things that we have talked about is the transition to outdoor living.
Mm-hmm.
We have just seen like an explosion of projects where people are really looking to bring the indoors out. Tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing.
You're right. Explosion is the right word. It's what's happened, I think, is a kind of a combination of things. COVID came, working from home, even with or without COVID, started to happen, and people wanting an outdoor living area that's tied or connected and flows from the house. So it extends the house where you can work during the day out on that area or have your weekends or evenings with your family and friends, but really be just ties really well to the first floor of the home and flows really well with the first floor of the home.
Yeah, and your focus really is exterior living and being able to kind of erase these boundaries between the indoor and the outdoor space. So talk a little bit about some of the projects that you focus on.
We will build a deck, but it's important to make the right decisions when you build a deck as far as the elevation of the deck and how it relates to the house, the location on the back of the house, the size. You really need to make sure it's appropriate and complements the house. I use the word complement a lot when I'm talking to homeowners, and complements the house, complements your lifestyle, how you want that area to perform for you, and how it can stretch or tie to the existing first floor of the home or second floor of the home. Sometimes we're doing second floor applications, but not just decks. And there are times where we'll build a deck with the idea we're going to add a open roof over it immediately, or in the future, screened porches, 3-season rooms, 4-season rooms, so that your lifestyle can spill out into the backyard. A lot of folks have really terrific backyards, and I ask them to ask themselves, are you using it? Are you enjoying what you're paying for and what you own? The wall that separates the backyard to your house seems to be a barrier to people.
Yeah.
And then you introduce the rest of their property to them and how you can enjoy it. It can be substantial. It can be a game changer.
Yeah. How did you get into this? How did you start the Exterior Living Company?
Well, my father was a carpenter from Europe, immigrated here in the early 60s and met my mom in the Akron area, and was a carpenter in that area as a from middle school. Actually, I was on job sites with him and learning from him. Enjoyed it, loved it. Came down to Ohio State to go to school. Graduated from Ohio State and never left the industry. I was working in the deck and sunroom industry all through high school. Never interviewed anywhere, just kept going.
Right.
And I think
the time goes by so fast.
Here I am, yeah, right. Here I am. So, kind of, I've seen it from all levels, as the helper on the job site to leading the job sites to building these, and then designing and sales, and So I think I've touched on every level of what you can do in this industry, and I think it's helped me in my phases as I've gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've seen pictures of when your kids were little and helping you, and when you were little. We did a story back in June. I think it was our June of 24 issue where we featured your background. It is you've spent a lot of time in this trade. A lot of time.
Yeah, and there are folks that are chefs and
Right.
all trades that I think can have a similar story, but it for me is just rewarding when I hear back from a customer that we did something 5 years ago, and all of a sudden I'll get this email, hey, we had Grandpa's 80th birthday party out in that area, and it performed exactly the way we want it, and it's really gratifying. So I feel like I'm fortunate to be in a career that you get that kind of feedback.
Yeah. Do you feel like people get overwhelmed when they're looking at their backyard and they just have the backyard, right? Maybe they have a patio, maybe they have an old deck that's, really needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. So where do you start when you're trying to think about, hey, I want to use this space much more than we're using it now? How do you bring that out of people? Because I can see it being super overwhelming.
It can be. Often when I walk in someone's backyard, it reminds me of other projects that I've done because of a similar layout to the yard or whatnot. Then I start asking questions. How many people live in your home?
Right.
When you entertain, do you have large gatherings or more intimate gatherings? What about your home? How would you like your home to spill out into that area? I pay attention when I come to the front door, knock on the front door, ring the doorbell, walk through the house. I pay attention to their layout as I'm working my way to the back. And if the kitchen, which is often at the rear of the home, and the dining room, I make sure that the outdoor living space ties properly to the back half of the house, so that it feels natural. It feels like an extension. It doesn't feel like an add-on.
Right.
You get value out of design, and so buying the same amount of materials and spending the same amount of it on labor and doing it wrong, putting it in the wrong place or at the wrong elevation or not tying it to the house, you're not getting your value. And so a big part of it is designing it right for their needs and for how they're planning to use it. And then all of a sudden, the cohesion to the house. Yeah. And once you get that right, that's when the customer is really going to utilize it. The worst thing that could happen is you build it and they don't use it.
Right.
Because you've made a mistake designing it. Yeah. If you're building it and, we use it constantly and this is how we use it. I often tell customers or clients as well, is that how you use the space will often evolve. Like as your kids are little, it's nice to have that grand set of steps that leads down to the play set in the yard where they can come and have an ice cream cone sitting on the steps or whatnot. But that unfortunately doesn't last forever. The kids grow up. All of a sudden, they're hanging out on the back deck or you're hanging out, what have you. And then all of a sudden, graduation parties happen. And the next thing, so you're building something to make memories. You're building something to make to add to your life, to add to your lifestyle. You're not building a structure. And if you build it wrong, you're just building a structure.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something you said because it was interesting. You talked about when you do it right, not only do you get the enjoyment that you're looking for, but you also increase the value.
Oh, yeah.
And I think maybe you've seen times where somebody has designed something that just didn't fit. Maybe the way you had to walk to get to it. Maybe it wasn't good proximity to the kitchen or to the grill or what have you. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you see that you just are like, wow, this is somewhat of a easy fix. But had we done it right the first time,
Yeah.
or had they done it right the first time, it would have been much better.
Well, first of all, believe it or not, I do repeat business. A customer, I'll do a project for them in Worthington, and their career takes them out east to New Albany or farther east into Reynoldsburg, and they sell their home in Worthington, and they call me again.
Yeah.
And I'll ask them, well, how did it go? I mean, did you get your money out, and how did that work out? And well, I'm being called again. They're having me out, and they tell me about the experience, how the realtor worked with them and felt how she or he highlighted that space and how it helped market the space. Not only that, but they also enjoyed it until they sold that house. So, but there are times where I'll come to a home that is a new purchase. Like a couple buys a new home,
Right.
and they have an existing deck and screened room that, like you said, just doesn't flow right and is not attached to the house well. And they use it for a year or two, and it's just not working out. I try to revamp what I'm given if I can. It's very rare to start over, but sometimes you have to. And you have to be willing as a client to say, it shouldn't have ever been this way, and we have to start over again. Yeah. But there are times where we can do a little magic by elevating the floor levels of a existing sunroom if there's enough volume of space in that room. Relocate the door in a screen room where the door is right opposite the sliding door heading toward the backyard, and the walking path or that's creates a situation where you can't decorate the room because of where the door's location is to the yard.
Yeah.
So a simple relocation of the door can be a big dramatic change as to how you can decorate the room.
Right.
So those little things can take a space that is just not functioning, or even I'll find it. There's a door on all three walls of a sunroom or a screen porch exiting because I wanted to go that way. I wanted to go out the front. I wanted to go out the left side. Where do you put your furniture? How do you decorate it? So you eliminate things and you talk them through that, and usually can get a good result.
Yeah, and I got to think the flow for food and guests is super important as well.
Oh, yeah.
I know for me, we're always feeding people in our backyard, right? So we got to be close to the grill and the kitchen and not be going up and down steps all the time. And
That's right.
there are these little things that I think you can bring forward that just make the space so much more usable.
Oh, for sure. I'm often designing in grilling zones and grilling areas. I'll walk into someone's backyard and I'll see literally now 2 or 3 grills sitting out there. The egg and the regular grill and the skillet style grill.
Those things are heavy.
Yeah. And it's way over on the other end, and where they have it away from the kitchen. And I'm just visualizing, okay, you have to grab whatever you're cooking, go down 3 or 4 steps to another thing, down 2 more steps, over to that grill. Oh, shoot, I forgot the salt and pepper, and you're going back the other direction. So I try to redesign it so that it's practical, because if it's practical and functional, you're going to use it more.
Yeah.
So practical to the relationship to the kitchen, as well as let's include the cook. The cook is out there cooking for the guests. The guests are enjoying themselves around the table. Let's make sure they can interact, but hopefully we can keep the smoke away from everybody,
right?
And make the cook part of things.
Yeah.
And so you start thinking that through and talking it through with the client, and then you usually can get somewhere. Yeah. And then they'll add their own comments. Yeah, you're right. I feel like I'm missing half the conversations as the cook, or what have you. So, that's one of the things.
Yeah, I get it. And I think that for those people who don't do this every day, right, it's great to have somebody be able to help walk them through so that they can visualize, right, how they use the space. It's so important.
Yeah.
I love some of the sunrooms that you're doing.
Thank you.
Oh my God, they are just beautiful.
Thank you.
It's so nice, I think, especially in Ohio, to be able to use your space, if you can, all year long, but at least 3 seasons. And I think the outdoor like sunrooms have come such a long way in the last couple of years.
Oh, for sure.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing, the materials, what people are doing, some of the trends maybe that you're seeing more of now?
Yeah. Volume of space. So vaulted ceilings and all that's not something new, but capturing that is important because it feels open and airy.
Yeah.
And when you think sunroom, you want it to be light, open, and airy. You can design a bunch of windows where the walls are almost all windows, but if one wall could have 4 windows on it. But if I can eliminate one window and make it 3 windows, but 3 larger instead of 4 medium-sized windows, less busyness, cooler color palettes. You want to.
Right.
I'm home. I
Right.
want to relax. Yeah. So enjoy that sunlight. Larger overhangs. It sounds trivial, but if I can do a larger overhang, that allows you to leave the window open when it's drizzling. You hear the rain falling. All those, all the senses are stimulated that way, and it makes for a nice environment. And that's what you're trying to create, is a nice environment.
Right.
And anything from people that are, hey, we play cards every Thursday night. Well, thanks for telling me. We're going to make sure. What are you playing? Euchre. Well, 2 tables worth of. I've got to make sure that room can handle that.
Right.
So how do you use the space? We can design around the types of windows we can do now, where everyone have seen the sliding doors that opens an entire wall to the deck, or the accordion style collapsible sliding doors, or some of the windows now. I call it a concession stand window, but it actually swings open. The hinges are at the top, and you push out on the window, and it opens up. We have those on our website. You can see them in some of our gallery photos, and where it's all about bringing the outdoor in. I think my rooms turn out best when you feel like you're halfway outside. When you leave your house and enter the room, you're kind of like it's the lobby of the outside.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
you follow me, or
I
the
do.
foyer of outside.
I do.
And you walk out there, and then so you bring in natural materials and the nickel gap sidings and the softer color palettes, wood on the ceilings and beams and all the things that everybody likes. I really pay a close attention to the height of the knee wall, the area below the windows. Most of the time when you're seated in a sunroom, it's soft, comfortable, low to the ground furniture. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to sit up to be able to see out.
Right.
Over the wall.
Makes perfect
So
sense.
you want to make sure you get that height, that proportion right, not just for that function, but when you're looking from the outside in, that the room doesn't look bottom heavy. Yeah. And so that's where, if you've done it a few times, you can make suggestions to the client that maybe they haven't thought of, and be a big part of my job. And what I take a lot of pride in is that I speak up when I think a customer is going down a wrong path. Ultimately, it's their home, but I want to be that voice that says, have you considered the impact of this, or have you considered the impact of that? And when I've made that mistake in my past, I'll say to them, this is what we learned, or what have you.
Do you have some examples of that?
Well, that knee wall height is one. Door locations are the other. You never want to regret building it too small. I'm not saying that to build massive sunrooms. We want to stay in scale with your home.
But it's like a closet. Nobody ever says, I wish I had a smaller closet.
That's exactly right. And when it comes to that, then you start talking about, okay, do you want the room to be larger? And do you want to back off on some of the costs associated with the window styles you're choosing, or prioritizing what's more important to you, the square footage or the features. And so that's where I can guide people as far as the deck board you choose. I mean, there's so many price points in the deck board itself. And so I can guide them in the right direction. If we could save money here, we could spend it over there and get you what you want.
Yeah, but the magic, it sounds like, really happens in that interview, where you're really talking with the client about what it is they need and want, but then also making suggestions so that everything flows and it's natural, and it seems like it's just a natural extension and a transition from the indoor to the outdoor.
When you go out in the backyard, you talk it through, and then you end up sitting inside the house at the table or whatever, and people dig in and start really talking about what they want it to be and how they want it to perform. That's when the results turn out the best. And I have really great production people already, good family members that are actively involved and have been raised with this as well. And I'll say to homeowners, listen, we've talked this through. We've got a great design, but I've got good people that when we start the project, if they think of something while they're working, we're all going to keep open minds. They're going to raise their hand and say, hey, this little area right here, have you considered doing this? And if it makes sense for your layout, we want it to turn out the best it possibly can for you. So if I keep an open mind and the client does, and a suggestion's made, I just want to be involved. If I'm not there at that time, I want to hear about it, because I could be the voice of reason sometimes and say, okay, that will be really terrific, but when you do this, it may affect that.
Right.
And if you're okay with it affecting that in that way, then you're okay.
And that's valuable, because you do what you do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Your clients don't. And sometimes they need a sounding board, the voice of reason, or at least the ability to be able to tell them, here are the repercussions if we do X or Y.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of my job. And that's where there are companies that are out there to build just a rectangle deck after rectangle deck after rectangle deck, and it has its place, and it's okay, but that's not who we are. We are there to help you take your backyard and tie it to your home and connect it to your home in a way that it functions well, and through that you get your value.
Yeah. And you bring up another really good point, because I think we've all seen these like postage stamp decks, for example, or they're painted bright red and you have a White House.
Yeah.
The transition just doesn't seem natural.
Yeah.
And I love in the pictures that you've got, you really work on the style of the home.
Thank you.
And try to bring like it all together so that it doesn't look like somebody just built a deck on the back of the, I mean, it all comes together. You do such a beautiful job with that.
Well, you want to honor the style of the home and the color palette of the home. And if the cable railing, for example, there's choice after choice after choice with railing. Some of the real modern horizontal cable rails are beautiful, but if your house is a traditional home, you really want to, but there's other types of railing systems that still have a little bit of a modern flair, but also can complement a Cape Cod home, for example.
Yeah.
I try to pay attention when I pull up to someone's house, the color palette of the house, down to the shingles. What are your light fixtures and your house number colors and your front door and your trim, and
it all makes
down to the mortar color around the stone of the front of your house, or the stucco color. Then you can bring the apron of the deck, the area right below the deck that keeps the little critters out from getting under the deck. You can use that as a vertical plane to tie into the vertical plane of the house. Complement it. Maybe a shade or within the same family of the stucco, but a little shade darker, because you're going to be putting mulch against it or mowing against it or what have you. But doing those little things that don't cost a penny more, but it just can tie everything together, make a huge difference. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the new technologies, because some of the materials that are coming out now just are maintenance free.
Yeah.
I know you do a lot of, and I always say Trex, and that's not the right word. I know that's a brand name.
Yeah.
But the
composite.
Yeah, the composite. There are so many things now that they're doing with composite that just make it so much easier for the homeowner.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what some of those things are?
Not only are the composites exploding in the market and all the things that you can do and the maintenance-free aspects of them, but the quality of the wood decks, the pressure-treated materials have declined.
Really?
They're harvesting young growth trees prematurely, and where the rings of the trees haven't had a chance to grow together, and so you can get a board that has the propensity to absorb water quicker than a board from 20 years ago. So not only are the composites better, but the wood framing is worse. So, but the composites are awesome because there are cool to the touch technology out there
That
now.
didn't used to be
Walk,
the case.
nope, you can walk. So
Yeah.
I pay attention to what side of the house are we staying on? Is it south or west facing? You get a lot of sun through the day. Yes, we can't even be out here and not enjoy our space. So I immediately started thinking about the cool technology, the cool touch technology on the decking. Um, Trex is a brand we can offer Trex, but TimberTech
Yeah.
is a major player also, and then a variety of railing packages that are out there, and it's all about being maintenance free, but not looking plasticky and not looking like it. It's not warm and feeling,
Right.
and the manufacturers have done a wonderful job. Just came from manufacturers. They call it a summit, where you see the newest and greatest products that they have for
Yeah.
the year coming. So we get a little sneak peek that way,
Oh, anything
and
you can spill?
well, it's just everything's getting better and more natural looking,
Yeah.
and the fastener systems that are all hidden, so you don't see screw heads, you don't see, anything that's fastening the deck board to the framing, and so you walk out there barefoot. You're not worried about splinters. You're not worried about
Right.
catching the bottom of your foot on a screw head or anything like that. So it's about transitioning to the outside. Yeah, a lot of lighting packages, LED lighting packages, and that really create an ambiance and
And they're
and a warmth.
integrated right
Oh
into
yeah,
the system
oh
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Part of the
beautiful.
railing part. I like to uplight from the floor of the deck around the border onto the railings. Creates great shadows, great mood. Gives you a visual of the outline of the deck. I mean, when you step out of the French door, the sliding door, or swing door from the house, a guest gets, oh, I see the profile of the deck now. I see
Right.
where I am,
Right.
and it's all about those wow moments,
Well,
right?
and so many times we spend the evenings
Yeah,
outside, right? That the
yeah,
lighting makes a huge
hmm
difference. It
hmm
can really just set the whole tone and
yeah,
ambience.
yep,
And they're doing such great things now with
yeah,
creative lighting.
yeah,
It's fantastic that
yeah.
you can bring all that
Yeah,
together.
heating systems,
Yeah.
radiant heating systems, and all the things that you see on the commercial side when you go to a cafe or whatnot are spilling into the residential market. And we are spending more and more of our time at home.
Yeah.
We just are. People are. I'm hearing. We have one car in the house. I mean, it's happening now. We don't need two cars, and I want to utilize my home and spend in my home so that I can enjoy it because I spend a lot of time here,
Right.
you know, and so it's really really important as a exterior living, uh, you know, uh, carpenters and designers to make sure that you're honoring the relationship between the outdoor living space and the home itself and designing that way and this can tend to be affordable or can get expensive.
Right.
Okay, and we often try to find spots where we can design in natural stopping points when we're doing these projects. As an example, customer says, "I want a four-season room, deck leading down to a fire pit area." Okay, sometimes we'll start with the deck, but we build the deck strong enough that it can carry the future weight of that sunroom
Mhm.
3 years from now or 5 years from now. Or we build a deck with the roof only, but design the walls as if we were going to build it, but we haven't yet.
Right.
Motorized drop screens that are
Love that.
tucked up in the top, and a lot of people have seen them, but that's very very popular. Remote control, push a button. Um, some of the trellises with the louvered
Oh, yeah.
panels and
Those are
whatnot,
beautiful too.
tying those in, but it doesn't all have to happen at once. We can definitely do it, but if I try to help customers realize that we can do this time, we can phase into the next step next time. Let's have a game plan for the ninth inning when it's totally done,
Right.
but then let's look at that project and say where are natural stopping points where you can enjoy it with your family, and then we can phase it where you're not taking the whole burden on at
Yeah.
once.
And I got to think it's important when you visualize what you really want. at the end of the project,
Yeah.
knowing that you don't have to do it all at once, but you can phase it out.
Oh,
But
yeah.
to do that, you really have to be able to
Yeah.
think it through,
Think the end
and help
game.
them visualize.
Yeah, think about the end game and work your way back. There are times where I'll go to a customer's home and they're not quite sure whether they want a screen porch or a 3 or 4 season sunroom. Well, you don't have to make that decision. We can, if we're smart about how we do it, we build you that screen porch. We build the screens the same size as the windows that we could possibly install in there. Enjoy it as a screen porch
Right.
for a while. You may never change it, but you know that we can always take the screen fabric out without altering the walls, install the windows, and you're in business.
Yeah.
So planning
So important.
planning and communication with the customer, and making sure they realize how we can approach it. There are times where the customer's thinking it's all or nothing. I didn't realize I could do that. So
Yeah. And I think they've come a long way with how you can control the climate. For example, when you're doing a screened in or a 3 season or even a 4 season,
for sure.
I used to think that you had to put in all the ductwork and the air conditioning and the heat and all that, but now today you don't have to do any of that.
No, there's the advent of what we call the mini split unit, which is a packaged terminal heating and cooling system. It's a mini heat pump, so that it will heat and cool your 4 season or 3 season space separately from the rest of the house. There's no additional like upgrading your furnace of your home or upgrading your air conditioner of your home. This is designed specific for that area. And it's nice because if the party's going on and you want to keep that room cooler than the rest of the house, you can. If you want to open the windows in the sunroom and not cool it at all or heat it at all, but you want to keep a consistent climate in the house, you can. Separate zones, right? And it's an affordable way and a practical way to do that.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about some of the things that you want to do when you're considering outdoor living. So definitely talking about how you're going to use the space, the flow, making sure that it integrates with the style of the home. These are all things that, equate to value. But the one thing you've mentioned that people often make a mistake about is budgeting, especially when it comes to furnishings.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's super important.
Well, I think it's important to finish the project and finish the project by making sure you're saving some of your budget for landscaping, saving some of your budget for furnishing the interior of the screen room, 3 season, 4 season room, the deck, even your grill. I can build you this wonderful deck, and if you don't have anywhere to sit on it, you're in trouble.
Right.
So I'm trying to be conscientious about that, and I suggest it all the time. That's the icing on the cake. You've got to consider that.
Well, and let's face it, if you build this amazing deck and you don't have a grill, right? Or you don't have an area to do that, or you don't have any seating, like a dining room table, you're not going to use it.
Yeah.
So I think that's great advice, is to really think about that portion of the budget.
For sure.
And look, the aesthetics of what you live in are extremely important. And if you love your space, you're going to be out there using it.
And it's all the little things. It's the little things of honoring the relationship of the outdoor living space to the house, getting the size right, getting the color palette right, saving for furnishings and landscaping, design, and then proper materials. Add all those things up. They're greater than their total, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when you get the result that you're looking for. You ignore any of them, there's disappointment.
Yeah. And then people won't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is what I love about what you do.
Thank you.
I love the relationship that you grow with your clients and that you can bring all of this out.
Yeah.
It's not just about, hey, I'm going to design this deck.
Yeah.
Right? You really do it in a symbiotic relationship with your clients.
Thank you.
Where can people get more information about the Exterior Living Company?
Well, we have a terrific website, exteriorliving.co, or you can contact us at 614-374-1755, and look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, and you work directly with your clients, so they will meet you directly.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yep.
thank you so much.
Thank you for
It's been
having me.
such a pleasure to watch your company grow,
Appreciate
and
it.
I just love the work that you're doing and love our relationship
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
That is going to conclude this episode of Inside Northwest Columbus. All this month, we are talking about home and design. So please join us next week on the show, and we'll see you then.
Boxland Media. Think big,